Hello guys, welcome to the fiction series. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto got harem with Tori and Kira? Part 4. If you want more awesome fan fiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, so without wasting any time let's get into the video. I don't understand sensei, what's going on sensei? Asked the blonde spiky-haired shinobi. I may have a theory, he sighed, stepping up to the group. When Trent froze me in that amber, somehow my Dino Gem and my morpher must have remolecularized. Meaning? Naruto was lost on the last part. He's stuck, Haley replied, before walking past Dr. O towards the computer. How do you always get into situations like this, Tommy? Questioned Kimberly. Making the student snickered. Sorry, honey. Tommy rubbed the back of his helmet. Speaking of Trent, Haley said, getting their attention to the view screen clicked into life, depicting a scene of the Dino Stegazord stomping through the city as people below screamed and ran for their lives. And just when we thought we could get a break, Naruto eyes narrowed at the monitor. It's what we signed up for, right buddy? Smirked Ethan, patting his back. Oh, Tommy stated. I'll see what we can figure out here. Naruto nodded while the others knew what to do. Dino Thunder power up. They all shouted and morphed. That's right, you better run. The White Ranger yelled as lasers shot out from his Zords, blasting on the street. Fire all together. Naruto ordered, and while riding their raptor riders they fired off their lasers, hitting the Dino Stegazord in the chest a few times. They skidded to a stop and looked up. Trent, that's enough. Naruto shouted. I'm just getting started. Their opponent laughed maniacally. If that's how you want to play, then we'll play, it's Zord time. Naruto stated, and the Brachizard came stomping by in response, dropping off the 4 Zords who quickly rushed together, as did the Rangers. They called upon the Parasaurozord to replace the Tyrannozord arm. Make your move, the White Ranger stated. Now what's he up to? Ethan frowned. I don't know, but we have to stop him. Kira replied, despite the slight ache in her heart. Get ready guys. Naruto told his team. Trent used his Drago sword to draw a chain. I hate to do this to you, he chuckled. Nothing personal. The chain shows out of the Dino Stegazord and wrapped around the Megazord, immobilizing them as they struggled to break free. We need Dinozord help. Connor stated, pressing a button on his control panel. Cephalozord. Ankylozord. Ethan joined in, both Zords came bounding towards them from different areas of the city where they'd been hiding out. Perfect, the White Ranger grinned, drawing 2 circles of light with his weapon. Containment fields, online. The 2 balls of light rushed out to surround the Cephalozord and the Ankylozord and quickly turned into barrels that trapped the 2 auxiliary Zords. The hell? Ethan frowned, watching as the Zords struggled within the barrels, only their heads sticking out at the top. Our Dinozords. Naruto called. Let them go, you bastard. Sorry, not going to happen, the White Ranger cackled. Trent, you've got to stop this. Kira pleaded. You're out of control. Looks more like I'm in control, he grinned before the Megazord was blasted with an odd pink light that knocked it off balance. Inside the beat pit, the 4 Rangers fell against their controls, and by the time they looked up, the Dino Stegazord had disappeared and the 2 Zords. What's the situation, Haley? Tommy with Kimberly asked as the Rangers grouped around her computer. It's no good, she sighed, typing as she shook her head. He's got them in a force field. It's not Trent's fault, the gem is making him this way. Kira protested. That doesn't matter anymore, from the way I see it, we have to put him out before he does something really ugly and unforgivable. Naruto said. The meteor thing was proof that there's still a part of him that's good. Kira pointed out. What if that was just some act? How do we know the meteor did turn him good at the time? Even though he helped us, he didn't stick around. I'm not taking that chance. He argued. Why are you being such a jerk? She yelled, stomping her foot on the ground as her fists clenched and her eyes narrowed. Because, you keep putting yourself out there and getting hurt more and more every time, even if you try to hide it, I can still see it. I'm sick and tired of watching you get hurt because this guy, I almost lost an old teammate to a former comrade to a situation like this before, and I refuse to let that happen again. He shouted. Kira flinched at this. Naruto was not no ordinary from what she remembered about his stories and fight against Sasuke. Truth be told, she has been pushing him away without realizing it, and that wasn't fair to him, not when he had time and time again saved her. Slow down you two, Kimberly interjected, stepping between them. Remember, Tommy was in Trent's shoes once. If it wasn't for me and my friends he wouldn't be here today. Haley nodded. Kim is right, they never gave up on me, and I'm thankful for that. Tommy said. Okay, so we don't give up yet, what do we do? Ethan asked. Go back to school, keep a low profile, Tommy told them. Haley, Kim or I will let you know if anything changes. They nodded and slowly walked out. A couple days later. Naruto was in the training room practicing his martial art. Anytime soon Trent would start attacking, he still was feeling frustrated at the capture of the 2 Dinozords, but he plans to get them back. He stopped a midway kick when his phone went off indicating a text. Grabbing a towel, he wiped the sweat from his face and grabbed a bottle of water, downing it quick. He checked his phone and got a message from Tori about the meteor and to meet her at the Wind Academy. Few weeks back he got a chance to meet her sensei who permitted Tori to show him the academy after hearing about his shinobi past. This led to him teaching part-time at the ninja academy. This was too a perfect time to talk to Tori since he hadn't really talked to her when he handed her the object. He ran into his room and slipped on a pair of black shorts, shoes and a green sleeveless shirt. Going down to the lab he saw the girls working on something while Tommy was on the computer. "Hey sensei, I'm going to borrow your jeep, Tori said she needs my help at the ninja academy." "Aren't you supposed to be at school?" sternly questioned Kimberly with her arms crossed. Tommy didn't say anything while Haley tried to keep a straight face but was having a hard time. Well I sent a shadow clone instead since I wanted to train," Naruto admitted. She gave him the glare making him sweat. "You're lucky that Tommy can excuse you, but don't make this a habit," warning him. "Sure sis," Naruto promised and looked at Tommy. "That's fine Naruto, I'll inform you of any changes, but please be at school next time," said Tommy. Naruto nodded and left. Once arriving at the secret entrance at the waterfall, he saw Tori in her ninja gear water walking. Grinning at this he got an idea, he jumped quietly on the water and silently sneaked up before he had the chance to scare her. When he touched her shoulder he was quickly flipped over onto his back. "Nice try." She smirked and helped him back to his feet. Naruto heard Kurama laughing his ass off. "She dropped you ass quick." Ignoring his partner's words, he gave a sheepishly laugh. "Guess my stealth needs some work. To be honest I felt your signature as soon as you stepped on the water. I actually discovered this a few days ago and have been practicing it with the guys," she said. "Oh, tell me more." He grinned as the two walked to the academy. Ninja Storm Base. Naruto was laughing hard when Tori told him the story of her ability and what happened to Dustin and Shane. "Oh man I bet they didn't see that coming." "Well that'll teach them a lesson." She smirked. The two had walked down the stairs to see Cam on a computer while the fragment piece from the meteor was in a tube hooked to some wires. The Green Samurai Ranger heard the two. "Good you two are here, I may have found something more about this meteor than I thought." "What did you find out?" Naruto asked. "First let me see your Dino Gem," he asked. The Dino Ranger was taken back by the request, but he trusted Cam and took out the gem handing it over. Cam went over to a device and put the gem inside where it got scanned and started to process the results. A minute later it showed on the screen which he looked at. "Just as I figured, it seems this meteor has the same kind of reading just as your Dino Gem, but the problem is that has the opposite effect." "Meaning what Cam?" asked Tori. "If I were to let's say use it in a fight against Naruto, his Dino form would be slightly vulnerable leaving him exposed," explained the Samurai Ranger. Naruto's eyes were wide, this is what he needs to take down Trent, but hopefully this won't kill him. He thought back to Kira thinking about their talk from yesterday at school. Flashback. Naruto walked outside to find a place to sit, finding a table he sat down with his food which was a burger and fries. Before he picked his food, he heard someone sit down and looked up to see Kira. He didn't say anything and just went to add ketchup to his fries. A minute had passed and neither of the two spoke. The quietness started to become awkward. "Naruto." "Kira." Both paused and Naruto gave a sheepish chuckle. "Sorry, you go first," he said. The Yellow Ranger replied with a small smile. "Naruto I'm sorry I've realized I've been pushing you away because of Trent, I have been acting as the weak link lately." "Stop," he said sternly cutting her off. "You're not the weak link, you're a great ranger, remember you saved the team from that aged monster," he reminded her. "Not to mention you're being taught by the first female ranger." Kira started to feel a lot better, even through the current problem with Trent, Naruto always somehow knows how to cheer her up. "I'm sorry too if I've been acting like a jerk," he apologized. Shaking her head. "Don't, even though you sounded harsh you were just looking out for me," she said not realize her hand of top of his. Naruto smiled, happy to know she wasn't angry at him. Noticing her hand over his own, his cheeks blushed a little, giving a slight nudge to the Yellow Ranger who too noticed and quickly pulled her hand back and blushed. "Sorry." A few seconds passed with no word exchange between the two. Naruto broke the silence. "It's alright, now let's enjoy our lunch." Then flashback. "I wonder what she is doing now," he wonders. Later that day, Kira walked through an open area of concrete surrounded by buildings somewhere in the city. The fingers of her right hand tapped at the side of her thigh with a beat from a song she was working on. Suddenly, Trent appeared out of the wall in front of her where he'd been using his chameleon powers to hide. Kira jumped back, startled. "You know, you shouldn't walk to school alone," he stated, taking a step towards her. "You never know who you might run into." "Trent?" Her eyes flashed with slight hope, but remembering Naruto's words, she kept her guard up. How did you do that? You didn't think you were the only one with Dino Gem powers, did you? He taunted, and her face fell as she recognized the evil and malicious tone of the White Ranger, not of the Trent she knew and cared for. I don't what you want, but I don't want to fight you, she told him as calmly as possible, but a slight tremble in her voice betrayed her. He smirked. Well, that makes one of us, he chuckled, bringing his morpher up. White Ranger, Dino power. He morphed into the White Ranger, before chuckling darkly. Bring it on. She hesitated, but memories of her being protected by Naruto flashed through her mind, she gave a hardened look. If that's how it has to be. She raised her morpher. Dino Thunder, power up. Ha. Once she was morphed, he rushed forward, and the pair exchanged a series of kicks and punches. You would think Kira wouldn't be into it, but on the contrary, she was giving it all with a series of punches, and then a front kick that Trent blocked and ducked under a punch, but didn't expect a backfist which he barely avoided. They grabbed one another's arms, locking in a fight. Not bad, looks like you learned some new moves, Trent taunted. Trent, it doesn't have to be this way. She pleaded. Why won't you let us help you? I don't need anyone's help, he spat. Least of all yours, especially Naruto, who I'll take pleasure of destroying. The Yellow's Rangers felt really hurt, but it changes to fury once he mentioned Naruto. Don't you dare hurt him, she glared, trying to keep from trembling in the flurry of anger that was assaulting. I don't care if you hurt me but leave him out of this. Eventually, she landed a blow with a kick to the face knocking him away, rolling away Trent got to his feet first drawing his Drago sword. Kira followed up drawing her Petra grips, and they charged against each other again. Exchanging blows, sparks flew everywhere until they broke apart yet again and then leapt into the air, flying towards one another. Terra grips. Drago sword. Smashing into one another in mid-air, sparks flew again, but both managed to land on their feet moments later before the White Ranger quickly drew his laser gun just as Kira found her Thundermax laser. Fire. He bellowed, and before she knew it, pain racked her body and she fell to the ground, crying out. He too fell to the ground because she'd managed to get a shot in. As both Rangers lay still on the ground, a flash of green on the side drew their attention. Perfect timing. Insectolite grinned as it and Zeltrax stepped up to their pair. Should I infect them both? No, do as we've been instructed, Zeltrax snapped. Just the white one. Kira looked up, straining against her pain as she looked towards the White Ranger. Insectolite stepped up over to him, shooting a bright orange beam of light that caused him to demorph and groan loudly. What did you do? Kira cried. They noticed her and exchanged glances before warping out in a flash of purple. She powered down, pushed herself to her feet and hurried over to the fallen White Ranger, worry etched in her voice. Trent, are you okay? Better than okay, he stated, managing to push himself into a sitting position. Me. Kira gasped, looking down at him, the guys will be happy to hear this, and hopefully Naruto. Ethan, Connor and Naruto walked through the Riverside High School parking lot, having just gotten out of Connor's Mustang. They walked towards the sidewalk when Principal Randall caught up to them. Hey, you two. She exclaimed. I got an email from that science teacher of yours. He's claiming to be too sick to work. Well, now that you mention it, he really didn't seem himself last time I saw him, Naruto lied brilliantly, and the other two were amazed at the ease it took him. I'm sure Dr. Oliver will return as soon as he's feeling better. And in the meantime, I'm sure he wouldn't want you to worry about it. Yeah, well, I better not find out he's faking it, she stammered, before compassing herself. Or he can kiss his job goodbye. With that, she stalked off and Naruto's fake smile fell. A model of warmth and sympathy, that one, he muttered. I hear you on that. Agreed Connor. Ethan tapped them both on the shoulder and they followed his gaze to find Kira on the stands by the soccer pitch, waving them over. What's she doing there? Naruto's clone frowned. They walked off to find the Yellow Ranger. What's up? It's Trent, she stated, and his eyes narrowed. What now? He muttered. You've got to see this. He's reformed. She informed and led them to a lower spot in the bleachers where Trent sat, staring downwards. Naruto's eyes slightly narrowed. Something didn't feel right at all. Trent, are you in there? Asked Ethan. Hey, he smiled, standing up. It's really me. One of Mesagog's monster attacks backfired, Kira stated. I think it released the Dino Gem's hold, Trent added. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense, Naruto frowned, he may not be a genius, but even he knew this sounded off. The eyes, look, Trent sighed. I'm really sorry for everything I've done to you. You got to believe it wasn't me. The gem it just took control I couldn't do anything against it. Ethan and Connor looked unsure, but Naruto silently had his guard up. If there's anything I can do to make it up to you. He offered. How about returning our Zords, for starters? Connor suggested. Right, well meet me in the warehouse district this afternoon. I'll give you back your Zords, and I might have a little peace offering as well. We'll be there. Kira told him. Great, I'll see you then. With that he left. "Something's not right," Naruto said to the other. "What do you mean?" "Trent just said he's back to normal, he's going to give us back the Zords," Kira told him. "But that still doesn't make sense, even for Mesagog's goons to backfire, something's wrong," Clone Naruto said. He took out a kunai from his pocket and stabbed himself, which freaked out the others until it vanished in a puff of smoke. "Did Naruto just send a clone to ditch school? Man, that is so unfair," complained Connor. "Where is he then?" she asked them. Ethan tried his best to act confused but failed miserably and felt a pair of eyes burning through him and knew it was from his Yellow Ranger companion. "Ethan, where is he?" she questioned sternly. The Blue Ranger sighed and knew Naruto was going to get him back. But Naruto and Tori were currently walking out the secret entrance. "Man, Cam is a genius," he praised. Tori giggled. "Well, if there's one person that we can rely on solutions, it's Cam." He nods. The two continued to walk for a minute till they were close to the vehicle. "Tori, about that kiss," he said, making the former Storm Ranger blush. Before he asked, he received the memories from his clone, causing his expression to turn serious. "What's wrong?" she asked. "It's Trent." Kira said that one of Mesagog's creatures attacked backfire, breaking the hold from the Dino Gem, or that's what he says. Tori was familiar with this situation when she found Hunter fake being hurt only to infiltrate the base and kidnapped her sensei. Those were dark memories. "What are you going to do?" "I'm taking no chances. I'll meet with them, but I'll be prepared," he said and hopped into the jeep. "Be careful," she told him. He nods and turns the jeep on, but before leaving, "When this is done, we'll see that movie," he told her with a grin. The Water Ranger's heart started to beat fast and did her best to hide the blush that was rising. "Yeah, that'd be great." "Alright, I'll see then," he said and drove off. Watching him driving off, Tori silently prayed that he would be alright. Unnoticed to the both, a microscopic creature recording the event and left through a green portal. In the afternoon, Trent sat on a box in a warehouse beside something covered in a large white sheet. The Rangers arrived moments later on their raptor cycles, already all morphed. Sitting on the cycle behind Connor was the Black Ranger. Smiling, Trent waved. "Hey, over here." Dismounting, they walked to meet him in the middle of the warehouse room. Trent's eyes narrowed slightly, not seeing the Green Ranger. "Where's Naruto?" The guys looked over at each other, but Kira on the other hand balled a fist in irritation. She was not too thrilled when she heard Naruto was with Tori. "He had to take care of something for me. Hope you don't mind, I tagged along," Tommy stated. "Dr. Oliver, you're okay?" asked Trent. "More or less. I hate to get right to the point," Connor stepped up. "But I don't see any Zords around." "I thought we'd start with the peace offering I promised first," Trent stated, walking over to the sheet. He pulled on it and it slipped away, revealing the black Dino ATV. "Whoa," Tommy breathed. "Sweet." The other Rangers agreed. "I figured you guys could use the help against Mesagog," Trent pointed out. "Who wants to try it out first?" "Make way," Ethan announced before Tommy placed a hand on his shoulder. "Sorry Ethan, I think it's better if I try it first." "Aw man," he sighed and Tommy stepped forward happily walking up to the ATV. He climbed on as Trent watched. "Good work," he nodded appreciatively. 12-stroke engine. "Yeah, sure is," Trent replied, making Tommy look up. "They don't make 12-stroke engines, Trent." "Yeah, Mesagog doesn't make monsters that turn people good either," he smirked evilly, leaping over the ATV and kicking it into gear. It shot forward and the other Rangers jumped out of the way as the black Dino ATV went plowing through some boxes and out the doors. "Dr. O." the Rangers shouted and Kira turned to look at Trent. "Trent, how could you?" she breathed and he shrugged. "It's all part of the survival of the fittest, Yellow Ranger," he laughed, using a term of utter distancing and coldness that made her cringe and tremble with both anger and sadness. "You'll pay for this," Connor vowed. Grinning evilly, Trent stuck 2 fingers in his mouth and whistled. A white Dino ATV appeared from another part of the warehouse. "Later, suckers," he stated before leaping into the air, morphing as he did and getting onto the ATV. He revved the engine and took off after the Black Ranger. As the Rangers turned to follow, Insectolite and a crowd of pteranodrons appeared through a flash of green in their path. "Not so fast," the monster cackled. "You're not going anywhere. Try and stop us." Connor glared. "Come on, guys." He, Kira and Ethan ran back to their raptor cycles and drove at the crowd firing their lasers at them. Naruto was in his Dino form on the raptor cycles driving as fast as he can. Arriving near the warehouse he heard multiple blasts and saw the direction it came from which he drove to. Driving midway, he saw his sensei on a black ATV, hopping over a blast that he followed which belonged to one man. "Trent, and by the looks of it seems he made a new toy." "I knew it," he growled, kicking up his engine he sped towards the battle, just when the lasers fired at Tommy. Naruto fired his own which collided and cancelled both attacks. "Good timing," Tommy said looking at his student. Sorry about the delay, traffic jam. Naruto joked. Oh good, you here, I was beginning to think you were afraid. Taunted Trent. Oh help the other sensei, I got this. Naruto told him. Tommy nodded and drove away. Both men were looking at each other for any movement, silent was in the air, but all could be heard were both engines. At the same time both kicked up their nitro and sped towards one another firing their lasers. The attacks smashed against one another, but neither refused to give and continued to fire multiple times which all connected another. Laser fire power. Trent shot a strong beam of laser at Naruto, but luckily. Dragon force field active. Naruto insert the Dragonzard coin on his cycle which created a green force field which redirected the attack back at the Trent, who did a U-turn avoiding the attacks. Looks like you got some new inventions, time to take it up a notch. Trent said, laser fire full power. He shot a more powerful laser beam towards the Green Ranger who took the attacks head on with a force field, but it took heavy damage, dropping the shield in time when the attack stopped. Naruto brought out his dragon sword and passed by with a slash to the evil ranger across the chest, knocking him off his vehicle. Naruto skid his bike to a stop and got off charging with his blade. Trent got up with his Drago sword and two charged. The two weapons collided as the rangers started to exchange attacks, sparks danced around them with each attack being made with their blade. Naruto quickly drew his dragon dagger and slashed his opponent followed by a corkscrew kick, sending Trent tumbling back, regaining his stance. Alright that's it. Shouted the White Ranger and created a dozen of laser arrows. Naruto acted quick and played the dagger, creating a shield which redirected the attack, knocking Trent on his back. Naruto dropped his arms down. How does it feel for once being knocked down on your ass, and I haven't even gone Super Dino mode yet. Trent growled in anger and manages to get back up to his feet, smoke was still sizzling off the suit. He got back on his ATV and drove away. Naruto ran back to his cycle and chased after him. Fire. Insectolite roared and lasers shot towards Kira and Ethan. Being thrown from his cycle in the process Ethan crashed into a parked car. Kira on the other hand fell off and her cycle crashed into some boxes. Leaping over some boxes, Connor went to fire his cycle laser at Insectolite, but the bug monster beat him to it, sending a blast which knocked him off the red cycle crashing into some barrels. Connor. Ethan called, he and Kira stumbled over to him. You alright? Kira inquired. Yeah, Connor nodded. Is that all you got? Insectolite shouted and the rangers stood together, facing him. Super Dino mode. They yelled and their uniforms shifted with power. Super what? Insectolite questioned. They then took off towards the monster and the Pteranodrons, who met them halfway. As Ethan and Kira took on the horde of Pteranodrons, Connor kicked away at Insectolite. Tyranno power. He yelled, leaping through the air, where he dodged a bunch of lasers from the monsters. He dodged, landing to one side. Nice try, crazy freak. Meanwhile, Ethan grabbed onto two monsters at once, swinging them forward into a pack of barrels. A little ways away, Kira somersaulted onto a box, where she turned and kicked three following Pteranodrons in the faces. When Insectolite jumped away and Pteranodrons replaced him, Connor easily kicked them away, and he, along with the other two rangers, turned to face Insectolite. Your bikes are history. It yelled, we're through here, bye. Just then, Dr. O and Naruto came flying through the open doors on the ATV and a cycle, shooting at Insectolite. They came skidding to a stop in front of the four rangers, getting off the ATV and cycle. Well, at least you're okay and you're here. Ethan pointed out as they looked towards Insectolite. Later days. It yelled, before disappearing in a flash of green. In his place arrived the White Ranger, on his white Dino ATV. See my friends have been keeping you busy, he chuckled, before climbing off and glancing at the three raptor cycles strewn around the room. Someone's been careless with their toys. Says the guys who was just getting his ass handed to him a minute ago by me, looks like you're losing your touch Naruto taunted which worked, seeing the ranger's hand balled into a fist. You're making a mistake, Trent, Tommy stated. Don't trust Mesagog. Who says I do? He scoffed. I got what I wanted. Goodbye rangers. One last chance Trent, hand over our Zords. Naruto coldly demanded. Say goodbye to them, he jumped onto his ATV. Trent, don't do this. Kira pleaded one last time, before he turned and sped out of the warehouse, never looking back. Naruto was going to chase him, but Tommy stopped him shaking his head. He watched Trent vanish. Ranger base. Back at the ranger base, the rangers stood around, still morphed but with their helmets off, well, except Tommy, who's still stuck. Haley sat near, working at the computers. So let's get this straight. Naruto inquired. Trent made a deal with Mesagog, pretending to let Insectolite turn him back into himself and making one of you guys the bait to trick into taking the rigged ATV. That sums it up. Ethan said. Naruto turned to the Yellow Ranger who had a hurt expression and sighed heavily. I'm such an idiot, she muttered. I believed all the stuff he said when he was really just feeding me more lies again. Here we all make mistakes, even I do. Naruto stated, looking down at her with a sympathetic smile. It could have happened to any of us. No, it couldn't. You've lost all faith in him, Ethan's distrustful, Dr. O's hard to get to, she groaned. I'm the only one that's truly an easy target because I still believe in him. It's like Kimberly said, Sensei wouldn't be here if his friends had all given up on him, Naruto told her, even though he still didn't like and trust Trent, his sensei always said a ranger doesn't give up. I thought you said it was stupid to try. She sniffled, frowning. Yeah well a ranger doesn't gives up right. He coughed a little shyly, looking away. Just, don't feel bad about it anymore, okay? Okay, she smiled slightly, nodding. So, he made a deal with Mesagog. That's a new low. Connor said. And risky, Ethan added. Trent was supposed to beat us. Mesagog's not going to be happy. Lighting the candle at both ends, the White Ranger's bound to get burned, Tommy stated. And burned badly. Added Naruto with a small smirk. And I think I know how to get the fire going, Haley pointed out, turning away from the computers to look at them. The ray used by Insectolite destroyed your energy shields. I bet if you could get that creep to aim his energy buster at the Zords. We could break through Trent's shield around them, Kira finished. Haley nodded. Okay great, small problem. How's Trent going to feel about all this? Asked Ethan. Every trap needs its bait, Naruto told them gaining their attention. Walking around the warehouse district again, the Rangers had returned their helmets to their heads as they wandered. Trent. Kira called. Where are you? We got to talk to bro. Connor added. Trent. Ethan called out. You made a deal with Mesagog, now it's time you made one with us, Tommy stated. Naruto had his weapons out sensing something. Appearing from out of nowhere, the morphed White Ranger ran towards them in super speed, attacking with his Drago sword. They were all knocked away, but Naruto leapt to his feet right after, locking himself in a fight with Trent. Dodging Trent's sword, the two battled with their blades exchanging strikes, they clashed their weapons battling for dominance. You wanted to see me? The White Ranger inquired. We wanted to make a little deal of our own. Naruto stated. I don't make deals with posers, he scoffed, and Naruto glared. Take that back. He growled and threw Trent's sword aside and continued to fight. Naruto ducked to avoid a blow from Trent, and the latter used the Green Ranger's shoulders as a springboard to leap into the air. He landed on a high wall, looking down. You just won't learn, will you? Trent smirked. Learn what? Naruto frowned as the others came up beside him. The White Ranger always wins, Trent grinned before raising his Drago sword and disappearing in a flash of white. Running like a coward. Naruto called out. Dr. O's communicator beeps and he raised it to speak. Go. It's working, Haley confirmed. The monster is back on the other side of the warehouse. Got it, Tommy nodded before the Rangers ran off to find Insectolite, looking around. There he is. Naruto exclaimed. As Insectolite turned, Kira tapped the Green Ranger on the arm. Great way of being stealthy, ninja boy, she laughed, and he shrugged sheepishly. Out of my way. The monster yelled. I've been sent to get the white one. As they rushed forward, they attempted to attack separately, but failed miserably. So together, Kira and Naruto ran forward kicking him equally, and it caused him to be knocked backwards, falling to the ground. It rolled, getting up again as the Rangers drew their sabers. This didn't do anything as Insectolite blasted them off their feet with lasers. Frustrated, Tommy got to his feet and drew his Brachio staff. Energy orb. He shouted, and he swung his Brachio staff in a circle, creating his energy orb before firing it at the creature, who staggered back. Connor, Ethan, Naruto and Kira jumped up, coming close. Let's help him out, guys. Naruto stated. Velox talons. Terra grips. Tyranno staff. Tricera shield. Kira leapt into the air, hitting Insectolite as she flew past him. Connor then slammed the end of the Tyranno staff into the ground, grabbing it and kicking Insectolite as he spun around on it. Ethan was next, stabbing Insectolite with his Tricera shield and spinning him around in the air. Naruto was last and jumped in the air as Ethan threw the monster and gave a blurry of slashes and a hard kick, sending it crashing against a stone wall. That got him, he grinned, seeing that the monster wasn't moving to get up. Yeah, Tommy nodded, walking over. Help me load him up. Trent sat on his white Dino ATV, looking up at the trapped Zords through the dim light filtering through the forest from the sunset. Looks like your friends are trying to save you, he snickered. Fools. As the Zords roared, the Rangers rode through the woods nearby on their raptor riders. Attached to the back of the black Dino ATV was Insectolite, yelling and screaming to be free. Faster buddy. Connor told his raptor. Hang on Zords. Called out Kira. We'll never make it, where did Naruto go? Ethan groaned. He went to call somebody. Tommy stated confusing them. With Naruto. Naruto came to a stop with his raptor rider near the ocean. "Alright friend, time to wake up." He pulled out the dragon dagger and played the flute. The middle part of the ocean started to boil, and a pair of red eyes were shown swimming across. Soon enough the Dragonzord started to rise out the sea and roared with its drill tail whipping around. "You up for a battle?" asked Naruto. The Dragonzord pounded its fists together repeatedly, which the Green Ranger took as a sign of yes. "Alright, let's go," Naruto said and got back on his raptor and rode away while playing the dagger leading the Dragonzord. The four rangers with their raptors and ATV pulled to a stop as they finally reached the Zords. They dismounted and Tommy walked over to their prisoner. "No," Insectolite yelled. "Let me go." "This is your cue, Insectolite." He grabbed the monster, dragging him off the ATV and pushing him towards their trapped Zords. "Go on, do it." Insectolite readied its lasers, only to be blasted in the back by one. The Black Ranger turned to see the White Ranger standing near, holding his Drago sword. "You're too late." "Oh, man." Tommy groaned. "See ya," he stated, pointing to the Zords as he walked away, and a huge explosion went off. "Come on," Connor called and all three rangers stumbled over to where the explosion took place. "Oh no." Kira gasped, seeing that it was where their Zords had been. Smoke billowed out from the now empty barrels, and their breaths caught in their throats. "It can't be." Tommy was shocked. The shock was broken when two giant figures came out the smoke revealing to be the Zords. "They survived," Ethan pointed out. The rangers began to stumble as the ground shook. Frowning, the rangers looked up to see the Dino Stegazord stomping towards them. "Dino Zords," the White Ranger barked. "Attach." Suddenly, against all odds, the Cephalozord and Ankylozord jumped back and joined with the Dino Stegazord. The excitement the rangers had felt left them in a flash. "Our Zords, he did it again, just like the Stegazord," exclaimed Connor. "Another trick," Kira muttered sadly. "I thought they would make a nice addition to my collection," the White Ranger bellowed. "The starfish device was just to reprogram them to obey me." "You're not going to get away with this," Tommy added, bringing up his morpher. "Brachio." His Zord lumbered through the woods towards them, depositing the Tyrannosaur, Pterosaur, and Tricerazord. The four corresponding rangers left his side to merge with their Zords and then create the Thundersaurus Megazord. "Let's make him pay," Connor stated, and his team nodded. "You can't afford it," Trent chuckled before punching the Megazord with the Cephalozord arm. Inside the Thundersaurus beeped it, sparks flew, and electricity fizzed all over the walls. Ankylozord. Drill tail. Sustaining another attack, the Megazord fell to the ground, smoking slightly. "Now you're beginning to get it," he laughed maniacally. "Why don't you just surrender the rest of your Zords to me?" "If you think we to that," Connor scoffed. "You're crazier than I thought." "Then I'll take them," grinned Trent. The Dino Stegazord marched forward, raising the Ankylozord drill again, while the rangers yelled for him to stop, to see reason. Before he could land the hit, rockets flew and struck the back of the Dino Stegazord, knocking it away. "What was that?" asked Ethan. "I don't know." Connor confused as Ethan. "Look." Kira told them. The Dragonzord roared signaling its present. Naruto jumped on the head. "Just in time, guess I was cutting it close." He emphasized on the cutting word, trying to lighten the mood. The three rangers groaned at the pun. "Really Naruto?" groaned Kira. "Oh good you're here, and look at that, another Zord for my collection," Trent stated, getting his Megazord back up and went after the Dragonzord and went to struck it with his Cephalozord arm, but the dragon was too fast and dodged the attacks, retaliating with its own punches left and right to the Megazord, sending it stumbling back before regaining its balance. "Playtime is over, Ankylozord." Drill tail. He thrusted the drill, but Naruto played his dagger, triggering the Dragonzord to whip its drill tail against the Ankylozord drill, creating an ear-piercing screech, making Naruto's team cover their ears. They broke apart and would have continued had it not been for two laser blast beams, hitting both Zord and Megazord, coming from Insectolite, who was now giant size. "Sorry to crash this party, White Ranger, but my master hates being double-crossed." Trent growled, getting back up. "Out of my way, insect." Naruto crashed on the ground and slowly tried to get back on his feet, thankfully Tommy helped him. "You alright?" his teacher asked. "Yeah, I'm fine, looks like I'm going to have to bring out the big guns." He lifted his morpher, and the silver Dragozord appeared over it. "Dragozord activate." The silver flying Zord flew in and across Insectolite, damaging it. "Dragonzord battle mode formation." He called, and soon the two Zords formed Dragonzord fighting mode. Naruto jumped in the Megazord. "Alright, let's do it." The White Ranger finishes Mesagog's creature with the Ankylozord drill and exploded. "Now where were we?" said Trent, turning around with his Megazord, but didn't expect to be hit with a slash and kicked away. "How do you like me now?" Naruto smirked. The Dino Stegazord and Dragonzord clashed, the Ankylozord drill was blocked by the Dragonzord staff drill and was slashed by the Drago head spear. The Dragonzord was suddenly hit by the Cephalozord arm a couple times, pushing it back. Let's see if this works. Raptorzord activate. Naruto called his Zord, who popped out the ground, landing next to him. It started to transform into its claw form, attaching to Naruto's Dragonzord. Sweet, it worked. He cheered. So, what if you got another Zord? It won't make much of a difference, stated Trent, not bothered by this. Naruto had his Dragonzord charged with its claw up, blocking the Cephalozord arm, and started to spin fast as a tornado, slashing the Dino Stegozord many times and fell back. Drago Spear intercept. The Dragonzord picked up the staff and aimed with the Drago head. It threw the staff like a javelin and struck the Megazord, causing major damage and sparks. Soon enough the two Zords broke free. He did it, cheered Ethan. Awesome, that's my man, praised Connor. Naruto Kira was amazed. Great job, Naruto, Tommy said, watching the event. You have got on my nerves long enough, Green Ranger. Next time I'm finishing you off for good, Trent growled before he and his Dino Stegozord disappeared. Back at the Dino lab, Connor and Ethan sat against the front of the black Dino ATV, exhausted and sore, while Naruto and Kira sat behind them, with the Yellow Ranger's head on his shoulder. Tommy, meanwhile, paced nearby with Kimberly looking a little worried for him. Even when outdone, Trent still won't give up, said Connor. Yeah, I mean, why couldn't he? Ethan groaned. Good thing I never give up. I have good news and bad news, Haley stated, walking up to them and getting their attention. She pointed at blue, yellow and red Rangers' bikes. Good news is, your bikes are fixed. Awesome, Ethan grinned. Thanks, Haley. Connor appreciated. You're the best, Kira said. Just don't do it again, okay? Doritide asked. And, as a bonus, I reprogrammed the ATV. It should come in handy. And the bad news? Naruto frowned. The bad news is, the two Zords were heavily damaged during the battle. It'll take some time to repair them, Haley admitted. Naruto fist clenched in anger. These Zords weren't just objects, but they were part of the team. On the bright side, at least you got the Zords back, said Kimberly. At this, Tommy turned to face them. Kim's right, and we're going to need all the help we can get, he sighed. If Trent and Mesagog team up for good, we're going to have a real battle on our hands. Then that means we need to step up our game and be prepared. Cause next time, we won't hold back, Naruto said. The others nodded in agreement. His eyes widened and looked at the time, which was close to 9. I'll be back, guys, he told them and left the lab. Once out the clear, he made a shadow clone. Go back to the guys, he told the clone, who left after that. Naruto went upstairs to change and quickly went to pick up Tori. Mesagog's lair. Frustrated and growling, Mesagog sat in his chair, with Zeltrax and Elsa standing in front of him. Why must you continue to fail at bringing me the White Ranger? My lord, Elsa began. You yourself have experimented on the White Gem. Its powers are unfathomable, however I have something that should interest you, she said. Go on, Mesagog, allowing her to continue. She went to the computer and plugged in the microscopic creature. The video played showing Naruto's talk with Tori and asking her out. What does have to do with anything, Elsa? He hissed. My lord, it seems the Green Ranger has interest in this girl. If we can kidnap her, we can force the Green Ranger to our will. This will also give us a chance to know more about that power, she explained. Mesagog pondered at the idea. Ever since seeing this power, he's had the desire to acquire it. It could be the key he needs to destroy the Rangers and complete his goal. Have the Pteranodrons ready, do not fail me. Now get out of my sight. I need time to think. Yes, my lord, Zeltrax nodded. He and Elsa left the room and prepared. Once the doors closed behind them, Mesagog stood up, walking across the room. He raised one scaly hand to his face, to see it glowing a pale purple. No, he hissed. No. His body was suddenly covered in purple light, which flashed orange, and then purple again. As it did, flashes of Anton Mercer appeared. Control it. The light flashed orange, and the Dino monster was transformed into Anton Mercer. Before he controls me, he stated, straightening his tie and walking out. As the doors closed behind him, Trent appeared out of the wall against which he had concealed himself with his chameleon powers. Green Ranger, you are finished. Laughing evilly, he walked away. Naruto wiped his face with a towel as he got out of the shower. He was getting ready for the movies that he promised Tori. Entering his room while drying his hair, he saw his clock as it said 7:20 p.m. The movie starts at 9 o'clock. He put on a pair of green boxers, socks, black jeans, green and white Converse, a plain black shirt with his new coat over it that was too black but had a green dragon design on the back. He glanced over and saw a pure silver necklace with an object hung from it, which was a silver fox head with ruby eyes. He slipped it on around his neck and his Dino Gem on his wrist. He looked at his reflection. He was ready. Before he left the door, he stopped midway and saw a light blue rectangle box that had a white ribbon. He had almost forgotten the present that he got Tori a week ago, but hadn't had time to give it to her, but now would be good to when he sees her. Putting it in his jacket, Naruto went out the door as he closed it and went downstairs. He went downstairs and sees Kimberly resting her head on the shoulder of his ranger-suited sensei who was doing something on the computer. Going up to him. Tommy looked up seeing his surrogate little brother. "What's up?" "I'm going to the movies with Tori," Naruto told him. Tommy nods as he knows this. "Alright, have fun." Naruto nods and leaves, but as he does, "Make sure you wear protection." Kimberly joked while her eyes still closed but had a grin. Naruto's whole face turned red and quickly left before shouting, "Not like that." The couple chuckled before the computer beeped, which made them check. Tommy took a closer look and under his helmet his eyes widened in shock. Kimberly knew something was wrong as Tommy said nothing. "What is it?" she asked him. "I'm just getting reading of a Dino Gem," he said, which shocked Kimberly, who stood straight. "Just now?" she asked. The veteran nodded. "But there's a problem, I don't know the location of where it's at, I'll have to upgrade and strengthen the system to find it. Let's just hope that creep Mesagog doesn't find it or someone else and have another White Ranger," Kimberly said. Naruto was thankful that Tommy gave him his personal car, which was a red 1994 Chevrolet Camaro that used to be the Red Lightning that his sensei used when he was a Turbo Ranger. While driving, a voice spoke. "So, any thoughts of what to do with the White Ranger?" Kurama said. "Well, once Cam is finished with that meteorite piece, I'll use it to drain Trent's power, problem is it's not going to be so simple," Naruto said. "Of course not, will you enjoy your date with your vixen?" Kurama said and barked a laugh as it faded away. Naruto sighed and shook his head as he continued his way until he arrived at his destination and saw Tori outside her house. She had her hair straight as always. She wore light blue tight jeans, a pair of light blue shoes, a sleeveless light blue shirt with a white jacket over it. She smiled as she approached toward him and got in the car. "Nice ride," she said. Naruto chuckles. "Yeah, it used to belong to sensei, but he gave me the keys." Tori smiled and looked at the time, which was 8 o'clock. "Looks like we still got some time," she said. Naruto nodded but remembered. "Oh, I got something for you," he said and took out the present from his coat pocket and held it to her. "I figure since you got me something, I would get you something too." "Aw, you shouldn't have." She smiled at him as she took the gift and slowly undid the ribbon and opened it. She gasped as it was a light blue aquamarine birthstone-like gem that attached to a black string. "Naruto, this is beautiful, where did you get this?" She couldn't help but ask. "Last week I saw a car broken down and it turned out to be an elder couple who were on their way to Riverside. I helped them out and called for a mechanic and took them to the repair shop. They thanked me and showed me some jewels and stones that they were planning to sell, as they planned to open up a jewelry shop." Tori smiled as that was something sweet that Naruto would do. She put on the necklace and looked at the mirror as it actually matches her outfit. "Looks good on you." Naruto complimented her, which made her blush. "Looks like we better get going," Naruto said as he started to drive to their destination. Mesagog Lab. "Finally it's done," Elsa said with a device that had a sharp point. "Basically the energy absorber from DBZ Saga in the tournament." "And what is that?" Zeltrax questioned. "A device I made myself, as you know Master Mesagog has interest in that Green Ranger's power, so I've come up with a plan," Elsa said as she began explaining, but unknown to the two, a certain White Ranger was listening and had a big smirk. Back with Tori and Naruto. Naruto and Tori were at the mall looking over some stuff, and funny enough they went into a store that was selling Power Rangers toys, etc. Tori saw a plushy green Dino Thunder which Naruto saw and had bought for her. They had walked around and found a photo booth. Tori wanted to get pictures taken, which Naruto of course agreed to. Each picture of them were funny faces, but the last one was with Tori kissing Naruto cheek, which made him blush red. They had decided to go somewhere to eat and head to a food cafe. Naruto had gotten himself burger and fries while Tori went with nachos. Music played out as the two talked. "So Cam is basically the only ranger in the Wind Academy?" Naruto asked as he ate a fry. Tori nods. "Yup, he's next to run the academy when sensei retires." Taking a bite of a cheese-covered chip. "By the way, you mentioned something about a surf contest, right?" Naruto asked. The water ninja nods with a smile. "There's this popular magazine called Big Time Surf, they're holding a contest this year and the winner will be named the Surfer of the Year, plus their photos in their next magazine." "That's awesome. I know for sure you're going to win that," Naruto said. "You think so?" she asked with a smile. Naruto grinned. "I know so. Your skills in surfing are awesome, even Ethan and Connor agree." Tori placed a hand on Naruto while not realizing what she was doing and he didn't notice. "Naruto, I have something to tell you something," she said. "What is it?" he asked. Before the former Water Ranger can say something, they were interrupted by a man who worked at the cafe who said, "An ice cream sundae." "Your ice cream sundae, sir." "Thank you." Naruto thanked the man as he left. "What were you going to say, Tori?" he asked. Tori shook her head. "Nothing. I forgot," she said, and was embarrassed by the lame excuse. "It's alright, that happens to me too," he said, and then handed a spoon to Tori. "So, you gonna help me?" He smiled, which made Tori giggle, and took the offer as both ate. From far away, Trent was watching and smirked. He knew Mesagog wanted the Green Ranger's secret power, but he was more interested in finishing him off, so he made a deal with him. He was now just waiting for the right time. He saw the two get up and walk away. He quickly turned invisible and followed them. The two paid for their tickets as they decided to pick a movie called Ninja Assassin. Naruto told her to go in and that he'll join her when he gets back from getting snacks for them. Tori was walking down the hallway and found her number that showed the movie, but as she walked in, the doors behind her closed shut and suddenly pteranodrons appeared before her. Oh. They started to attack and she began to dodge while fighting back. She jumped off a seat and kicked a pteranodron in the face that sent it crashing into others. She ran up on the stage where she started to fight and sent each one off the stage. One jumped on and grabbed her leg. She kicked him off, but two had grabbed her arms and legs. She did everything she could to try to get them off, but there were too many of them. She heard a laugh and saw out the dark was Trent, who was in his White Ranger form. "My, aren't you a feisty one?" he commented with a smirk tone. "What do you want?" she questioned aggressively. "I need your Green Ranger boyfriend, and you're going to be the bait." Trent traced his dagger across her face and slowly trailed it down to her chest. "When I finish him, maybe I'll have fun with you." Tori's eyes widened in horror. "Naruto, where are you?" As Naruto was walking down the halls, a purple portal opened and in a flash pteranodrons appeared. "Oh, you got be fucking kidding me." It got worse when Trent appeared while holding his Drago dagger across Tori's throat. "Tori!" Naruto exclaimed and snarled at the White Ranger. "Let her go." "I don't think so. If you really want her back, meet me where we last fought. Oh, and don't think about contacting your ranger buddies, or I won't guarantee the safety of your girlfriend." He laughed darkly as he grabbed Tori's arm and vanished in the purple portal along with the pteranodrons. Naruto clenched his fist so hard as blood started to drip. He quickly ran out of the mall and into the parking lot and jumped into his car and kicked up his engine and raced to the location. With Trent, White Ranger. Tori was on a huge smooth flat rock, but looks like phase 1 is complete, Elsa said with satisfaction. "Whatever, just like we plan, once he arrives. I take care of him, then I'll let you finish what remains," Trent said. Tori's eyes widened in horror. "You sons of bitches, you're going to ambush him." Elsa didn't forget that remark in the forest weeks ago and stepped forward. She backhanded Tori across the face, which sent her to the ground unconscious. "Don't think I forgot that remark," she sneered. They heard an engine and knew he was close. Elsa and Zeltrax vanished as they prepared the pteranodrons. Naruto pulled up and cut the car off and stepped out. He walked towards where the ranger was but stopped when he saw Tori on the ground and there was a bruise on her face. Naruto's anger slowly rose up. "What did you do?" Trent shrugged. "I warned her not to run away and she didn't listen." Naruto brought up his bracelet that transformed to his morpher. He pushed the button. "Dino Thunder, power up," he said in a cold tone and transformed to his ranger form with his dragon dagger, sword and shield armor. "So, I guess we're starting off serious," the White Ranger said as he pulled out his dagger. Naruto didn't respond as his weapons glowed with a green color and took off forward at full speed and jumped high before slamming both blades down, which Trent blocked but was forced down to a knee from the attack. He continued with strikes from left and right, but Trent was keeping up as he was blocking them. He made a slash of energy that made Naruto flip back, dodging it as it hit the ground and exploded. Naruto resumed back with a fury of strikes from both blades that Trent continued to block, but not all of them, as one slashed him across the stomach, then the chest, which sent sparks from the attack, and a kick that sent him tumbling back, but regained his footing. He took position with his blade in a guard. The White Ranger used his camouflage to hide. Looking all around, Naruto remained calm and focused. He listened closely to the area around him. A small crunch from the left side had him dodge as a couple of laser arrows missed and exploded the ground on impact. Wanting to try something, he channeled energy into his dagger and sword and made a slash motion move which sent two large energy blade-like slashes towards the White Ranger location, who was forced to drop his camouflage and jumped out the way as they hit a giant boulder which cut clean. The two once again charged as their blades clashed against one another. Sparks were dancing around them with each block or clash. Trent tried to attack from high to low. He rolled forward trying to get at the Green Ranger's legs. As Naruto backed up trying to get space, Trent jumps and spins a 360 following with a kick that sends Naruto staggering back but catches his balance. Both had stared down one another. Naruto knew they were about evenly matched. Looking at his sword, he flipped it around and stabbed it into the ground. He held the dragon dagger in his right hand and got in a stance. Trent used his super speed to hit Naruto, but to his surprise, he had dodged and stabbed Trent, followed by a slash that pushed him back. The evil ranger winced at the stab blow. Naruto took position with the dragon dagger. Both began to charge and attacked before stopping and were being careful, waiting for the other to make the move. One would attack while other counters and tries to attack, but it's blocked too. This had continued on for a minute, but it changed as Naruto started to counter Trent and started to attack while pushing back. Each blow made sparks as he tried to block but was being overwhelmed. The kick from him broke Naruto's assault and started, or at least tried to, slash at the Green Ranger, but Naruto was just keeping up with all the attacks and was just countering or blocking. The White Ranger was getting angry as his attacks were now just getting sloppy. Naruto connected multiple strikes to the Ranger before landing a hard punch to the chest that sent Trent skidding and fell to the ground. Tori started to regain consciousness and tried to sit up. Her vision was blurry, but after rubbing her eyes with her sleeve it was normal. She saw Naruto standing above the downed White Ranger. Tori's eyes widened as she remembered the ambush. "Naruto, it's a trap," she cried out. Just suddenly a bunch of pteranodrons including Zeltrax and Elsa appeared. Naruto looked around as he was surrounded. Lucky he was close to his dragon sword, which he took. He looked at his surroundings. The White Ranger got up to his feet and was joined by both Elsa and Zeltrax. "I thought you would be able to handle him," sneered Elsa. "I like to see you try to go against him." "Oh, that's right, you have, and lost how many times?" mocked Trent. "Green Ranger, you are surrounded. If I were you I would surrender," said Zeltrax. "Well, good thing that I'm not you," Naruto mocked. Elsa scowled as she pulled out her sword and pointed at the Green Ranger. "Pteranodrons, attack," she commanded, and the entire squad charged. Naruto had his weapons glowing and was ready. AMV. Last Resort by Papa Roach 005. Naruto slashed one and kicked one far away. He sliced two heads off and used them as a soccer ball as he kicked them towards two other enemies, knocking them down. He cut one in half and stabbed one, taking the blade out. He started to hack at every enemy coming at him. He cut off an arm with the dragon dagger and a leg with the dragon sword. He made a slash motion which sent a large amount of energy that wiped out a chunk of the group. Naruto kicked from behind and played the dagger, which fired green shurikens, destroying another part of the group. He swung his weapon as he continued to mow down the enemies, but he noticed that the number didn't seem to be dropping, instead they looked to be increasing. He put his arms in X guard while holding his blades, but he swung both of them, which sent a large blade energy cutting most of heads off. He turned quickly around, stabbing one, but pushed it back as he stabbed two more. He pulled the blade out as the enemies dropped dead. He looked all around but wasn't done just yet. Super Dino mode. He cried out as the spikes on his shoulder grew and the symbol of the Dino Thunder was on the shield. Naruto started to spin around, acting like a blender machine as every enemy in the way was shredded. He slashed from left and right. He threw his sword in the air and said, "Kage Bushin no Jutsu." Two more Naruto appeared. One got the dragon sword, the other used the Velox talons, while the real one had the dragon dagger. "Split up." Naruto had ordered his clones, which they followed. One clone with the sword sliced an enemy in half and cut another from across the waist. As he ran, he kicked one in the face and flipped backwards high and slammed his sword down into the ground, which sent a blast of shockwave, knocking them down. The second Naruto with the talon weapons was using his martial arts skills as he was kicking every enemy coming his way. Heads flew off from the claws on his feet that sliced clean through the pteranodrons. He punched his fist up, stabbing one that tried to attack from above. The real Naruto with his dragon dagger was quickly taking out multiple enemies. He thought of something and threw his weapon, which stabbed into the head of a pteranodron and vanished in a flash and appeared in front of more of them and ripped the dragon dagger out of the dead enemy. He quickly decapitated the other ones. That was enough for Zeltrax and Elsa to step in and attack. Even with the two teaming up, Naruto was still too fast and struck them. Acting on instinct, he turned around and quickly vanished as laser arrows that were sent by Trent. More pteranodrons showed and attacked, but Naruto was cutting them out the way as he made his way towards Trent, but a lightning blast forced him to block and redirect it back to Zeltrax, who was not the only one hit, but a bunch of pteranodrons who were behind were caught too. Naruto swiftly blocked a strike from the dragon dagger as both men resumed in close combat. The Green Ranger struck the White Ranger a few times before he vertically slashed down Trent, who was sent crashing to the ground. End, AMV. Naruto cried out as something tore through his suit and stabbed him. He looked to his right and saw Elsa with a strange device that she stabbed him with. He suddenly was feeling his energy drain. "Get this bitch off, she's stealing some of my chakra," Kurama shouted. Following his partner's words. He kicked Elsa away from him, which took the device out, but he started to bleed. Before he could do anything else, he was hit by multiple arrows and crashed to the ground. Naruto. Tori cried out. Naruto got to a knee, but not long when Zeltrax smashed his blade to the helmet, which sent him rolling across the ground. Face down, he slowly lifted his head up to reveal his damaged visor that was exposing his blue eyes. Blood was shown dripping down the side of his eye. Not so tough now, are you, Green Ranger? Mocked Trent as he and Zeltrax charged and started to assault a weakened Naruto who could only block Zeltrax, but he was taking real bad hits from time to time from Trent. Tori could only watch in horror as Naruto was being beaten, and there was nothing she could do about it. If she hadn't been captured, none of this would be happening. Naruto went through a huge rock and crashed a few feet from her. Surprisingly to Tori and the others, Naruto still managed to get back to his feet and was panting. His ranger suit was damaged as it had gashes and other cuts mixed with blood. He gripped his weapons and smoked steam off his body as he was slowly healing. He yelled in action as he charged and attacked both Zeltrax and Trent, but from the interference from the Pteranodrons, he wouldn't last much longer. Elsa was enjoying herself watching the Green Ranger slowly being decimated. She turned to Tori and decided to finish her off. She drew her sword and smirked as she made her way towards the former Water Ninja Ranger. Tori saw this and knew what Elsa was going to do. However, she wasn't afraid, but was more concerned about Naruto as she watched him take a slash from a Pteranodrons. She was not going to give up, there has to be something she could do. All of a sudden her necklace had started to glow. Which stopped Elsa as what she saw but recognized the feeling. A Dino Gem. She quickly rushed towards Tori. The water ninja knew what she would do, but before she did, Elsa was knocked back by a force that sent her far away and crashed. The energy rope that had bound Tori was gone, and she noticed her gem was glowing. She looked at the stone and then an image of a giant swimming reptile that had fins and a tail with a large head like a crocodile and razor-sharp teeth. It roared. Suddenly a large tornado-like water swirled around and covered her. This had stopped the fight as Mesagog's men and Naruto looked to where the location where Tori was supposed to be, but instead there was a large tornado-like water swirling high. The water had suddenly started to die down and revealed the person. Everyone was shocked as they saw standing before them was another Dino Thunder whose outfit resembled Kira's, except it was a light blue color, and her helmet was like her ninja storm, except without the gold design. She had a whip by left side, but the tip was the head of her dinosaur. Whoa. Tori was awed at the new amazing power she was feeling. This is totally different from my ninja form. Pteranodrons, take her. Zeltrax ordered. The bunch of them charged at the now new Dino Thunder member. Tori smirked and held her weapon. Time to see what this new power can do. AMV Killer Instinct Gold. Orchid Theme 024. She quickly pulled out her whip and started to spin around, hitting multiple of them. She spun the weapon around her neck and struck many that were trying to come from behind. She roundhouse kicked two of them and wrapped her whip around the neck of one and spun it around, knocking others away before throwing it into a group of them. Zeltrax attacked with his sword, but Tori, having water as her element, was dodging them with ease as her body was flexible. She kicked him in the face as she somersaulted backwards. She got into her fighting position and gestured him to bring it, which he fell for and charged, but that was what she was just waiting for. She made a couple hand signs and performed a jutsu that Naruto taught her. Water style. Water cannon technique. She leaned back and her helmet shot out a beam of boiling water that struck him and crashed into a rock. Tori dodged a strike from Elsa, who was recovered but was attacking wildly, but they did nothing to Tori, who continued to easily dodge them with ease. She caught the weapon with her whip and repeatedly kicked her in the stomach 4 times, followed by a hard back fist that sent her down. Zeltrax got back to his feet and shot a blast of lightning, but as his attack hit, she disintegrated into water, which confused him. She appeared behind him and unleashed a velocity of punches and kicks that he was able to block, but he didn't count a scorpion kick to the face, which knocked him down. Brent decided to have his turn as he attacked Tori, who was countering each of his slashes. He went for a stab, but unfortunately she trapped his arm with her whip and elbowed Trent's arm, which forced him to drop his dagger. She followed this with a kick to his chest and released him, making the ranger stumble back. She was not done and charged directly at the White Ranger. She jumped with a flying kick that connected the helmet, which sent Trent skidding across the ground. And, AMV. Naruto had finally finished off the last of the Pteranodrons and fell down to his knees and panting. Tori came rushing to his side and helped him up. "Are you alright?" she asked in concern as she could see the damage done to him. He nodded. Elsa, Zeltrax and the White Ranger had stood up on their feet, but in their condition, they wouldn't be able to do anything, but they got what they came for and vanished. Naruto dropped to his knees and fell face first unconscious as he demorphed. Naruto. Tori ran and checked him, he was wounded and needed treatment. A motor vehicle was heard coming and she turned to see Tommy who was on his Dino ATV with Kim in her ranger form riding behind. They got off the ride and were shocked to see another Dino Ranger, but they knew who it was as they saw Naruto. "Tori, what happened?" Kim asked as she and Tommy checked on him. The Aqua Dino Ranger explained about her being kidnapped by Trent and using her to lure Naruto into an ambush and the device he was stabbed with by Elsa and finally her necklace that Naruto had got her. She demurred and showed the gem. Tommy picked Naruto bridal style. "We better get back to the base. Tori, can you follow us?" She nods. Dino Lair. The now conscious Naruto was sitting on the table as Kimberly was just done patching up his wounds. Tori was watching while Tommy and Haley scanned the gem. "I'm sorry," Naruto quietly said, which Tori heard and her eyebrows furrowed in confusion. "Sorry for what?" she asked. "We were having such a good time and suddenly it was ruined because of me." Naruto eyes downcast. "Stop," she said, which gained his attention. "You risked your life to come save me." Tori leaned forward and grabbed his hand. "I'm just glad you're alright," she told him. Naruto gave a soft smile. The two heard footsteps coming down the stairs quickly and saw it was Kira who looked over and saw him. She rushed to his side and hugged him much, making the Shinobi Ranger wince. Was slightly jealous. "Are you alright? Dr. O told me you were ambushed," she said in a concerned tone. "I'm alright, Kira." Naruto gave her a grin. "It takes a lot to keep me down." She shook her head but had a small smile. "Kira, I told you I would inform you tomorrow of Naruto's status," Tommy said. Kira looked apologetic. "I'm sorry, Dr. O, I was just really worried about him," she apologized. "Tommy, it's fine, besides you would have done the same thing if something had happened to me when we were young," Kim said as she hugged his arm close to her. Tommy sighed as she had a good point. "Tommy, come look at this." Haley called him over as he walked over to her. "What's up, Haley?" Tommy asked. "This Dino Gem is certainly different from the other ones, considering it's connected to a marine reptile that lived in the Cretaceous time period. From all the information I got, it's connected to the mosasaurs. I'll start working on her morpher." Tommy nods. Kira was confused until Naruto explained to him about the necklace he bought for Tori and how she became a Dino Ranger and pretty much saved him. "That's awesome though, right? Now we have 5 Ranger." Kira did her best to hide her jealousy. "That's great." She smiled, but Kimberly and Tommy can't see she was forcing it. "Oh boy, seems now things would be complicated. Though I'm still confused about what the hell Elsa did and what purpose of taking my chakra." Naruto asked the question that had been bugging Tommy. He just had a bad feeling that something worse than the Dino White Ranger was coming. He just hopes he's wrong. Mesagog lab. Mesagog was in his chair as Zeltrax and Elsa informed him of another Dino Gem that the former Ninja Storm Blue Ranger had. This did not sit well with the dinosaur mutant. "You both have better have something else to make up for your failures," he hissed angrily at the end. Elsa spoke. "Yes, my lord. Our mission though was a success." She held out the device as she continued. "This device, my lord, holds the power to destroy the Rangers. We were also able to acquire a portion of energy from the Green Dino Gem." Mesagog for the first time was satisfied for now. "For once you have done well, Elsa," he commented, which got a bow from her. "Sir. If I may speak?" Zeltrax asked. "What is it?" questioned Mesagog. "What will you do with this energy?" Mesagog had pondered at that idea for quite some time. He could just inject it into himself, but he did not want the risk if it destroyed him. He thought of another idea. "Commence the experiment with this power. I need to know if it's useful to us." "Yes, my lord," Elsa and Zeltrax said as they bowed and took their leave. Mesagog looked at his claw that started to transform to human, which made him grunt and struggle and managed to stop himself from turning back to Anton. "Soon, Anton. I will not need you much longer," he hissed. Riverside High School. The bell rang as all students were going to class. Ethan and Kira walked up one of the main staircases. A few steps later, Connor ducked under a banister to join them. "Hey, you guys heard from Trent yet?" he asked. "No, and I'm not sure I really want to," Kira sighed as she thought about the incident of what happened to Naruto over the weekend. "We need to make sure he won't go off on some poor freshman cause the kid won't give him his lunch money," Ethan suggested. "Yeah, you know what, Ethan?" Connor began. "I think he's after a little more than a free grilled cheese. By the way, where is our ninja crime fighting partner?" Ethan asked as he noticed Naruto not here. Dr. O thought it would be best for Naruto to stay home for a couple of days after Kira stayed silent at the end as the boys nod as they heard what happened to their buddy from Dr. O. "Yeah, I can imagine what Naruto would do if he saw Trent." Ethan shuddered in fright as he remembered the anger from Naruto when Dr. O was thought to be killed by Zeltrax. "Then you blame him?" Connor added. "So for now till then, we keep an eye on him," Kira said. As they disappeared into the classroom and the door closed behind them, Trent appeared from some lockers beside the door, having been hiding there with his chameleon powers. He smirked at the door they'd gone through. "Watch me all you want," he snickered. "It won't make a difference." "Trent Fernandez, please report to the principal's office, Trent Fernandez." He sighed at the intercom announcement before walking off down the hall. He thought back at the Green Ranger and clenched his hand to a fist at the lost from him. Next time for sure when he sees him he'll end it all. Evan was perched on his stool, holding his backpack open which was already filled with paper balls, and as another flew through the air and went in, Connor pumped his fists into the air and high-fived Ethan, as both boys had been doing this for a while now. "Good for three." Connor grinned. "Hey, did you guys know we're supposed to get a new teacher today?" Ethan asked as he set up another paper ball shot. "Yeah, any guesses?" Connor asked as he and Ethan continued their mindless fun. "Well," Cassidy grinned, leaning on their table as she came up. "I heard from a very reliable source that it's this 80-year-old woman who used to teach kindergarten in Ohio." "Really?" Ethan inquired. The door opened and Principal Randall walked in, stopping any and all conversation in the room. Everyone scrambled to their seats and Devin put away his backpack. "Good morning, class," she began. "I would like you to meet your new teacher. Anton Mercer." "Huh?" A couple of students frowned as Anton Mercer walked in, wearing a small smile. The Rangers all looked shocked and from the back of the room, Trent's bored face fell into a confused look. "Morning class," Mercer stated, standing at the front of the room beside Randall. "Hey, looks pretty good for an 80-year-old woman," Kira snickered, and her two friends did as well as Devin laughed, making Cassidy hit him. "Ow!" he exclaimed. "What? I thought it was funny." As Cassidy made a face at him, Randall continued. "Dr. Mercer has graciously agreed to take over until your teacher gets back on his feet. I would like you to treat him with the same respect that you would treat Dr. Oliver." She left, and Mercer thanked her as she passed him. "Well, let me start by saying how honored I am to be here," he began, before grabbing a pile of papers and walking around the class. "What I'm handing out to you now are permission slips. These are for your parents to sign. We'll be going on a field trip tomorrow, to a museum." The Rangers looked at the permission slips, then one another. Kira, Connor and Ethan walked together on the school grounds after the last bell, talking about their science class earlier that day. Anton Mercer teaching other people's children. He doesn't even like his own, from what I can tell, Kira frowned. "Yeah, I wonder whose brilliant idea this whole thing was," Ethan said. "Gotta be Randall's," Kira stated. "Did you see them together? It's like they were old pals." "Hey, no matter how bad we've got it, there's always someone who's got it worse," Connor stated, trying to lighten things up. But as they reached the school entrance, they spotted Trent and his father arguing. "I gotta go," Trent snapped. "I don't have time for this." He stalked off, leaving his father to shout after him. "Okay, fine. But I want to talk to you later, understand?" The Rangers watched a moment before turning back to one another. "So, what are you guys doing now?" Kira asked the boys. "Soccer," Connor stated. "Computer club," Ethan replied. "What about you?" the Red Ranger inquired. "I promised Dr. O that I'd help him with some inventory stuff in the lab. Naruto will be helping too." Kira smiled a little as she would at least talk to him today. "Plus, we'll probably want to know who's teaching his class," she added. "Yeah, I wonder what he'd have to say about it," Connor nodded along with Ethan. As they reached the end of their walk together, they waved and split up, going in 3 different directions. Naruto and Kira sat at a table in the lab, Dr. O stood across from them, still stuck in morph as the Black Ranger. Together the three were going through boxes upon boxes of stuff. Also, Kira had just told the two about who had taken over his teaching job for now. "That's great." He grinned. "You're kidding, right?" Kira inquired, exchanging a side glance with Naruto. "No," he shook his head. "I know you think Anton is a little strange." "Yeah, and Justin Timberlake's a little cute," Kira smiled. Naruto chuckled and shook his head. "Alright, he's a lot strange," Dr. O chuckled. "But he's brilliant. He taught me a lot of what I know, and for that I know he'll be great." "If you say so," they shrugged, still not convinced. "He really is an amazing person," Tommy insisted. "Once you get to know him." "Really didn't seem like that after he almost bought Haley's cafe," Naruto muttered. Kira nodded in agreement. Tommy heard this and sighed but didn't say anything as he couldn't come up with a defense. Naruto opened a box that had some photos and found a picture of Tommy and his old Zeo team. He looked at Jason, who was a Gold Ranger at the time, but what was strange was that he felt drawn to the power he possessed for some odd reason. He even felt a pulse in his Dino Gem. Kira noticed Naruto looking at a picture and took a look at what it was. She recognized the Zeo team, but Naruto seemed to be focusing on someone. "Naruto, you okay?" She touched him, which made him break from his trance. He shook his head. "Yeah, I'm alright." He gave her a small smile and put the picture back as he set the box away from him. "Hey sensei, I have a question," Naruto asked. "Yeah, what's up?" Tommy looked up. "Is it possible to fuse two ranger powers into one?" he questioned. This came as a surprise to Tommy as he didn't expect such a question. Kira was interested in this question. "I honestly don't know," Tommy said. "I had thought it was when I had passed down my Green Ranger power to my friend Jason, who was the Red Ranger at that time, but at the same time, I don't think so. When Jason took the mantle as the Gold Ranger, his life force was slowly being drained due to the gold power being too powerful for anyone to wield, only Triforia could only handle it." Naruto nods at this, but he would be looking into this more later on. "Trent is lucky I didn't go to school today," he said with annoyance. "And that's the reason why you're not going to. You cool down," Tommy told him. Kira smiled at the scene between the two. She resumed her work and picked up an old bone out of a box in front of her. "Hey Dr. O, where does this go?" Kira inquired. "Oh, you better give me that," he stated, reaching forward and taking it from her. "What is it?" Naruto asked. "Just a bone," Tommy said. "Yeah, but why is it so important?" Kira asked. "I honestly have never seen a bone one like that before, and I'm not a dinosaur expert," Naruto said. "It needs to be kept safely in my hands," Tommy answered absently as he placed it into a metal box. "Let's just put it away." Kira frowned, but shrugged the subject off. "Whatever you say." The two watched as he shut the box and put a padlock on it before returning to their work. Naruto, however, felt something strange in that bone. He shrugged it away and went back to help Kira. Outside the museum, a sign hung, advertising a new dinosaur exhibition. "Alright, come along now," Anton Mercer stated, leading the first of the students into the museum. "We don't want to keep our prehistoric friends waiting." Kira stopped walking, looking up at the life-sized model of a Tyrannosaurus standing outside the museum. "Connor," Ethan stopped with her. "What's wrong?" Connor frowned. "It's just that thing gives me a creepy vibe," Kira replied. "Worse than last time." The others followed her gaze. "It's like it moved." "You know dinosaurs are extinct, right?" Ethan chuckled. Kira glared fiercely as a reminder of what their arch-nemesis is. Ethan gulped. "Alright, sorry, I see your point." He and Connor went past, blending into the safety of the crowd of students, while Kira continued to look up at the dinosaur. She bit her bottom lip, frowning. "Stop staring." She left as she disappeared into the building. The class stood around the exhibit hall, looking at model skeletons of dinosaurs. "And just ahead here is a triceratops from the Cretaceous period," Mercer lectured. "Strictly herbivores. Hunted by the Tyrannosaurus rex." Near the back, Connor slapped Ethan's arm, grinning. "Gotta love the T-Rex." "Whatever bro," Ethan chuckled. Kira was at the very end of the line and was following the class till she heard something. She turned around, and not long she spotted a pteranodon rushing behind a display of cases. She snuck away from the group as she went to check it out. She went off in the direction that the pteranodon had snuck off. At the end of the small hall, she found a storage room door and went in, shutting the door behind her. Inside, she found nothing but shelves upon shelves of artifacts. Pteranodon jumped out behind her, grabbing her and covering her mouth as she struggled. She managed to push it away and attacked, kicking and hitting until it fell back onto the floor. More pteranodons warped in through purple flashes and surrounded Kira. She rolled her eyes, getting into a fighting stance before they rushed forward. She dealt with most easily until two caught her off guard, managing to grab her from behind, holding her still. "Let me go, you freaks," she snapped. Nearby, on a shelf, a large dinosaur skull sat, and its eyes lit up with a brownish glow. "Kira, you must listen to me." She froze in place as the eerie voice floated through the air around her. A slight tingle tickled her mind before a full blast of color and sound and words assaulted her brain, and she closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, the pupils were merely viral slits, and the rest of her eyes had turned bright yellow. "You will do as I command." Connor and Ethan walked alone through another section of the museum looking for their Yellow Ranger. Where could she have gone? Ethan frowned. Connor glanced ahead and spotted a figure run between the wall and the large glass case. "There she is, Kira," Connor called out. The two took off towards her as Kira stopped rubbing her forehead. "Are you alright?" Connor asked. "What happened?" "Yeah, I'm fine," she nodded absently. "I just got lost." "Lost?" Connor raised an eyebrow. "Yeah, as in not found. Are we leaving?" Kira snapped at the guys who were surprised by her sudden change in attitude. They frowned, but knew better than to question her. "Yeah, we're leaving," Ethan nodded. "Great, let's go." And with that she stalked off, leaving the other two to look at one another, confused as they followed. At cyberspace, Kira sat at a stool against a bar, looking at a book. Haley walked up, setting down the girl's usual soda water with lemon twist on the counter beside her, but she didn't so much as glance at it. "Hey, Kira, how come you're not sitting with the others?" she inquired. "What, we have to do everything together?" Kira sighed in annoyance. "Well, no," Haley frowned. "But you usually do, don't you?" "Not anymore," she stated before looking up. "Look, Haley, I don't mean to be rude, but I really need to get this done for Dr. Mercer's class." "Dr. Mercer," Haley chuckled slightly. "I'll never get used to the sound of that." "Hey, he's a really good teacher," the dirty blonde went on the defensive all of a sudden, adding to Haley's confusion. "And we're going to learn a lot from him." "Okay. Whatever you say, Kira," the redhead shrugged, walking off. From a table a little ways away, the other two teens watched, all sorts of questions passing through their minds as they frowned. "She's acting weird," Ethan commented. The two came walking up to her with Connor asking. "Hey, you wanna go watch a movie tonight with us?" "No," was her curt response, and he frowned. "You know, when someone doesn't want to hang out with someone, they usually come up with some sort of excuse," he pointed out. "Look, I just don't feel like spending any more time with you guys than I really have to, okay?" she retorted before getting up and gathering her things. "I have to go, I have something to do." She stood up and brushed past him without another word, leaving the cyber cafe. The other two frowned. Kira ran through the woods outside the Dino lab, alone. She stopped when she reached the cave entrance and turned on her communicator. "Dr. O, are you there? It's Kira." "Yeah? What's up, Kira?" "I was out running just now, and I think I saw something at the edge of the old forest by the lake," she lied brilliantly. "It might be a dinosaur egg. Could you check it out for me? I gotta get home." "I'm on my way." "Great," she smiled wickedly, ducking in behind a tree. "Thanks." The cave door opened, and Dr. O came racing out on his black Dino ATV. He disappeared through the trees right after, and Kira ran into the cave just before the door slammed closed. She entered the Dino lab, and the eerie voice from earlier was back. "Now finish the task." She walked towards the metal box she'd watched her teacher place the mysterious bone in the previous day and used her Ptera scream to break the padlock apart. Grinning, she opened the box and picked up the bone, staring down at it. "Excellent, soon I will be complete, then I will rise again." Kira looked up and her eyes shone bright yellow as her pupils were once again turned into viral slits. Tommy pulled to a stop at the edge of the forest with his black Dino ATV. Frowning from within his ranger suit, he looked around. Contacting Kira's comm link. "Kira, it's me. I couldn't find anything out there. Are you sure you saw something?" "Oh, wow. I must have been wrong. Thanks for checking it out, Dr. O." "No problem," he responded before turning his Dino ATV around and heading back to the lab. "Kira?" She heard and quickly spun around to see Naruto, who was confused but saw the bone on her hand. Before he questioned her, he saw that her eyes were a viral slit which instantly set alarms in his head before he could do anything. Kira unleashed a Ptera scream which knocked him down. She quickly left the lab. "So you think Kira's been acting kind of strange?" Tommy inquired, looking at the two teens walking in the lair with him. "We just don't know what's wrong with her," Connor continued, remembering her attitude towards them. "I mean, I didn't say anything to make her mad." "Are you sure?" Ethan arched an eyebrow. "Sometimes you say things you don't think are going to make some people angry and things end up getting thrown at you." "Dudes, I promise," Connor stated. "I didn't say anything." "Just asking," Ethan nodded. Just as they went to the lab they saw Naruto on the floor and the metal box empty. The guys rushed to help him up. Tommy quickly looked over to the metal box that he noticed was left open. "Dude, what happened?" Connor asked. Naruto shook his head. "I heard something from the lab and went to check it out. I saw Kira who had that bone in her hand, but her eyes, they were not normal." Tommy instantly knew what happened to Kira and cursed at this. "Wait, why would she take some random bone?" Ethan asked. "It's not just any random bone. It was the final piece to a creature that was created by Mercer and me years ago." Tommy admitted to them. "Oh," Ethan said. "What kind of creature?" Connor asked. "Facilitator," Tommy explained. "We were trying to create a dinosaur at one time that had the power of mind control. We scrapped it when it got out of hand." "Great job, sensei, wait till Kim hears about this," Naruto rolled his eyes. "As long as I had the main support bone, it could never come to life," Tommy went on. "Where are the rest of the bones then?" Naruto asked. Kira opened the storage room door at the museum, stepping in slowly. "I have returned as you commanded," she stated. "But girl, did you bring it?" "Yes," she nodded as her eyes went yellow and viral again. Reaching into her jacket pocket she pulled out the missing bone, placing it on the shelf below Facilitator's skull. Bright white light shone from the pit of the creature's eyes and soon it engulfed the whole skull. "Excellent." Kira stood by and watched as bones flew off of shelves all around the room, trailing white lights in their wake as they came together in the middle of the room. Soon Facilitator stood before her, rejuvenated. "You have served your purpose," he growled, blasting her with a beam that sent her flying backwards. Crying out, she flew and fell to the floor, unconscious. Naruto, Connor, Ethan, Dr. O and Haley watched on the view screen as Facilitator appeared in town in giant form as he stomped around, causing lots of destruction. "I'm going to take a wild stab and say that's your fossil monster?" Ethan inquired. "Unfortunately, it is," Tommy sighed. "Any word from Kira?" Haley questioned, turning to face the teens. "Nothing," Naruto sighed, clutching his cell phone tightly. "But I've been trying." "Think, you guys," Tommy urged. "Where could she have come in contact with this thing?" Connor and Ethan thought hard till the Blue Ranger remembered. "The museum, when we went on that field trip she disappeared on us." "Yeah, and when we found her that's when she started acting weird," Connor added. The Black Ranger nodded. "Alright, if that's where Facilitator was being kept, then she might still be there. Someone'll have to go look for her while the rest of us hold this thing off." "I'll go," Naruto stated suddenly, just as Tommy had been turning to ask Haley to do it. "Alright," he smiled, before turning to the other two. "We'd better take the raptors." Nodding, Connor and Ethan stood together. "Dino Thunder, power up." "Ha. This city is mine." Facilitator bellowed, stomping through the city as Connor, Ethan and Dr. O appeared on their raptor riders in behind him. "Man, check out them bones." Ethan jokes. A huge lightning blast came crashing down, knocking them all off their raptor riders and onto the ground. In a blast of purple light, Zeltrax appeared as they stood. "You're not going anywhere," Zeltrax growled. "Triptoids." Triptoids appeared from behind him, leaping over rubble. The three broke out into a battle against the horde of Triptoids, while the Black Ranger faced off against Zeltrax as usual. "You guys go on," Tommy shouted. "I'll deal with Zeltrax and the rest." "Okay." They nodded before taking off and going after the Facilitator. As they continued to fight and watched them go, Tommy called on the Brachiosaurd. Moments later, it appeared in the area and hatches opened to reveal the Tricerazord and Tyrannosaurd, which marched out and ran alongside their rangers. Sensing them, Facilitator opened its jaw and shot out white smoke that knocked the Zords to the ground. Naruto saw the museum and quickly tried to open it, but it was closed. Looking to see no one around, he vanished in a flash and appeared in the building and started to look around till he noticed the storage room opened and checked inside and saw Kira unconscious. "Kira." He quickly went to her and kneeled down as he sat her up against him. Kira, wake up." He slightly shook her. "Not long enough," she groaned and slowly opened her eyes. The first thing she saw was Naruto, who had a relieved expression and hugged her. "I'm glad you're alright," he said. Kira couldn't help but blush as she felt his warm body. She would love to be like this for a while, but she remembered what she unleashed. "What have I done?" she told herself. "Kira, it wasn't your fault, it was that old fossil bastard that controlled you," he told her. A beep came from his bracelet. "Hey Haley, I found Kira, she's alright." "That's great, the guys need help quickly, they just formed the Megazord, but without the Pterazord it won't last much longer." Naruto nods and helps Kira up to her feet. "Are you sure you're alright?" he asked. Kira nods. "It's time for some payback for us both," she told him. He nodded and grabbed her as they vanished out of the museum. Ethan and Connor's Megazord were still battling relentlessly in the downtown area when suddenly a Ptera scream ripped through the air. Inside the beep pit, Ethan and Connor looked up into the sky to see the Pterazord come flying in. Keeping up pace with it on the ground below was the Raptorzord, and the two realized that Kira stood on the beak of the Pterazord, unmorphed, just as Naruto crouched on the head of the Raptorzord, unmorphed as well. "Awesome." Connor grinned. "They're here." "You ready?" Kira yelled, her voice carrying on the wind and down to Naruto, as well as through their morphers. "Definitely," he grinned, and simultaneously. "Dino Thunder power up." They morphed. They jumped into their Zords and charged towards the Megazord as they fitted where they belonged. "Glad to see you're back to normal." Ethan gave a thumbs up to the Yellow Ranger who was along with the Green Ranger. "Yeah, we sure could use the help," Connor added as he smiled behind his helmet. "It's good to be back, guys. Now it's time we waste this old bone," Kira stated, from across Facilitator laughed. "Terrorang," she shouted, and the Megazord whipped the sharp yellow boomerang pieces at the monster, cutting off its raised claws. "Nice try." It cackled, and its claws grew back. "Aw man." Naruto cried. "No way." Connor cried. "You gotta be kidding." Ethan shocked. "Let's try this." Raptor blade full power. Kira commanded as the Megazord's claw glowed green and made an energy/X mark which destroyed a chunk of his right side, but he merely laughed as it grew back. In response, Facilitator blew more white steam at the Megazord and rocked dangerously, threatening to keel over at any moment. "I'm just getting started," it roared, rushing towards the Megazord. He grabbed onto it, sending waves of electrical energy over its body. The Rangers inside held on as the whole beep pit and Megazord rocked dangerously. "Oh man, nothing is working on this guy." Ethan said. Looks like I'm going to have to bring out the big guns. Naruto summoned his dragon dagger. I need Dragonzord power. He played the flute. The Dragonzord had risen up through the sea and joined the battle. Playing another tune. Beeping came from the Dragonzord as it shot multiple rockets at the fossil, which forced him to let go of the Megazord, but more kept coming at him. As Facilitator started to regrow his bones, Naruto noticed a glowing one and had an idea. Kira, I got an idea, destroy the bone that completed him. That idea. Kira nods as she scans and finds the target. Locked on, Tyrannodrill. The Megazord used its drill as it cut through. Facilitator cried in agony as it fell down and was destroyed. Ami looked on and was proud. Great job team. Kira, Connor, Naruto and Ethan walked down the stairs into the Ranger base, where Tommy, Kim and Haley sat the computers, working. So glad you're back to normal, you were pretty scary there for a while, Ethan said. I'm so sorry I was mean to you guys, Kira sighed. No, don't worry about it. He waved it off. It was that damn fossil's fault, not yours. Naruto said with a smile. Yeah, I mean, we're kind of used to it, Connor chuckled. Kira glared at him. Naruto shook his head but chuckled. See, that would be one of those things time to time. Ethan pointed out. Connor realized what he said. Oh, right. Sorry. He apologized. Kira glanced back at the others. I'm just glad everything worked out, kinda weird though. What's that? Tommy asked. Let me guess, it has to do with the bones at Anton's museum. Naruto said. Kira nods. That's what I want to know too. If he knew, why keep them close together, and how did he find them since you told us sensei that everything on the island was destroyed? Scattered or sank? Naruto said, which left lots of questions for the team. Tommy though. Listening to his student's logic, he couldn't deny the facts that something was going on and it involves Anton in some way, but what? Naruto's bracelet beeped and a voice spoke through. Naruto. Tori. What's up? He asked. The guys listened in with interest while Kira glared at them. I was just practicing some waves and well, do you know how to tame a Zord? She asked, which got eye-wides from everyone. Haley, lock onto her Dino Gem. Tommy said, which Haley did quickly. I got it. She said. The screens showed Tori in her ranger form. A mechanical-looking reptilian marine with a long body and tail jumped out high before diving back to the sea. Imagine the Mosa Rex, except with aqua color. Talk about needing a bigger boat. Ethan said, wide eyes. The Mesagog. It's one of the Zords that I have been trying to find for a while, it must have hatched beneath the ocean. Tommy said. Tori, listen, you got to stay focused, this Zord is powerful, so you're going to need to dig deep in you and show that you're its partner and friend. Naruto told her. Tori nods as she was standing on the water thanks to her chakra. She cleared her mind and focused. With her ninja training she relaxed as the ocean around calmed down. Soon the Mesagog head came out as it swam to her. Tori slowly put her hand on the mechanical marine reptile. I'm your partner now. It's been a while since I was in a Zord, but I think we'll get along very easily. The Zord growled as it dived back into the ocean where it soon jumped and its color changed from a dull color to a light aqua color. Before diving back into the sea. Tori smiled as she did it. Great job Tori, I knew you could do it. Naruto said. The celebration was however cut short as a random giant monster appeared in a purple flash. I love me some sushi. Declared the monster. Whoa. Tori exclaimed as she backed up. Back at the lair. Geez, you would think Mesagog had enough losses for today. Connor. She may need help. Ethan said. No. Naruto said, which surprised the group by his answer, except Tommy and Kim, she can do it, I believe in her. Back with Tori. The monster saw Tori and was about to stomp her as he lifted his foot, but the Mesagog jumped out and smashed into the enemy, which sent it flying. Way to go Mesagog. Tori cheered. The water Biozord growled and she understood what to do and jumped into her Zord. The monster stood back up but wasn't prepared to be hit by a blast full of rockets which made him tumble back. Alright. She cheered. Her communicator beeped. Tori, it's Haley, I just found something interesting about your Zord. What is it? She asked. Your Zord can change to a Megazord without the assist of the other Zords. Awesome, time to test it. Mesagog, time to convert to Megazord mode now. She said. The Mesagog roared. It flew out the water as it started to transform. The tail tip came off as did the fin-like hands on the lower sides. The full tail split it into legs making it stand up, the arms flipped around as the hands attached to them, the tail tip acted like a sword. Finally the Mesagog's head had turned around as its mouth opened and a warrior's head was shown. Mosa Megazord mode. Complete. Tori said. The Megazord spun the sword around and got in a pose to which the background exploded with water that sparkled. The teens except Naruto, Tommy and Kim were blown away by the Megazord. The monster came charging and tried to attack, but it was blocked and slashed by Tori's sword tail. It was kicked far away as it fell into the sea. "Time to wash out this thing," Tori declared as the monster got back up but was dazed. "Mosa blade full power," she exclaimed as he Megazord lifted up its sword with both its hands and slashed down, which sent a large slashing energy that connected. An explosion rocketed around the creature as it cried. The Megazord turned around with its sword as the monster behind fell and exploded. "Another victory for the good guys," Tori said. "Back at the lair." "Told you," Naruto said with a smile as he looked on. "Man, I'll tell you, Mesagog probably didn't see that coming," Ethan jokes. "Yeah, he probably didn't, but that means another thing," Tommy said. "What's that?" Kira asked. She tried to take the attention away from the newest Dino Ranger. "Mesagog will be attacking a lot more than before, and I got a feeling these enemies are going to be a lot more difficult," he said. "And we'll be ready," Naruto said. Everyone nod. "Don't think you're off the hook, Tommy Oliver," Kimberly said as her arms crossed and glared. Tommy's shoulders slumped as he knew he was in trouble for keeping the facilitator a secret from her. The teens including Haley laughed. Back at Mesagog Fortress in his lab, Zeltrax was working on something. The device that drained Naruto's chakra was beside him, followed by some blood that was his master's. Putting the blood under the microscope, he slowly and carefully injected a small sample of the Kyuubi chakra. The results. The blood boiled violently and the glass exploded, which made him back up. He didn't understand what was wrong. This power had denied everyone, himself, Ilasa, that blasted White Ranger, and now his master. He needed to figure it quickly of how to control this power, but it seems that the only one was. He froze for a few seconds as he thought of something. He rushed over to the blood samples and looked all over until he found what he was looking for. A small vial that contained the blood of the Green Ranger. He did the same results, but this time mixed in with Mesagog's blood. The results were different this time as it started to bubble, but nothing happened. Looking closely at this, he saw they were merging into one. If he could, he would have had a huge grin on his face. One step closer to your end, Dr. Oliver and Green Ranger. So this part ends here. Alright, that's it for today's video, guys. Let me know in the comments section how was the story, and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video. Bye bye.